We can make this work, Victor. For our child, Elena pleaded, her voice trembling with hope for the two tiny lives within her. But Victor, a promising heir cloaked in ambition, replied icily, "This can't happen, Elena. Take this money and start over somewhere else." 30 years later, the echoes of that betrayal resurface, unraveling a web of secrets that could destroy an empire. Where are you watching from today, and what time is it? Drop a comment, hit subscribe, and share your guess. Will redemption or ruin await? Stay tuned. This story's twists will grip you until the end. The echo of Elena's plea, "We can make this work, Victor," for our child, still haunted Victor Langston, a ghost that refused to fade. In the dim glow of his Manhattan penthouse, where city lights bled through towering windows, that long-ago night replayed in his mind. Elena Marquez, her dark eyes fierce with hope, had stood before him, cradling the promise of two lives. But Victor, then a young heir shackled by ambition, had crushed her dreams with a single cold command. "Take this money and start over somewhere else." Her defiance pushing the envelope back, her voice steady as she declared, "My child deserves a father, not a ghost," had seared itself into his soul. She'd left. The door slammed, a final verdict, and Victor had buried the memory beneath a life of ruthless success. Now, decades later, he sat in his glass-walled office, the pulse of New York thrumming below. At 57, Victor was a billionaire titan, his real estate empire a monument to his choices. Yet the weight of that night pressed heavier than ever. His fingers tapped restlessly on a polished desk as he scanned market reports. But his focus shattered when a digital billboard across the street flared to life. The image stopped his breath. A young woman, Dr. Sofia Marquez, her sharp gaze commanding, stood beside her brother, Javier Marquez, a tech visionary with a disarming smile. The headline blazed, "Marquez siblings revolutionize healthcare with AI breakthrough." Their eyes, his eyes, stared back, unmistakable, accusing. Victor's coffee cup slipped, shattering on the marble floor, the sound a gunshot in the silence. "Mr. Langston, are you okay?" His assistant, Claire, burst through the door, her brow furrowed. Victor's hand trembled, betraying the composure he'd perfected over the years. "Cancel my meetings," he snapped, his voice rough. "Now!" Claire hesitated, then nodded, retreating. Alone, Victor staggered to his feet, the billboard's glow taunting him. Sofia and Javier Marquez, the names carved into his thoughts, each syllable a reminder of Elena's vow to raise their children without him. How had they become this? Global icons, their faces plastered across the city, while he'd convinced himself they'd faded into obscurity? He crossed to a sleek safe hidden behind a Mondrian painting, his fingers fumbling with the code. Inside, among contracts and heirlooms, lay a single photograph. Elena, her smile radiant at a long-forgotten art gallery opening. Her Puerto Rican heritage shone in her warm skin, her dark curls framing a face that had once softened his edges. Victor traced the photo's worn edges, guilt clawing at his chest. He'd assumed she'd taken his money, started anew. But Elena had defied him again, raising their twins into brilliance without a cent of his tainted wealth. The realization twisted like a knife. His phone buzzed, a lifeline to action. "Marcus," he barked, calling his private investigator, Marcus Reed, a man who unearthed secrets others buried. "Find everything on Sofia and Javier Marquez. Background, achievements, personal lives, everything. I need it yesterday." Marcus's voice crackled with curiosity. "This sounds personal, sir. Care to share why?" Victor's jaw tightened. "Just do it." He hung up, the photo still in hand, Elena's eyes boring into him. He'd built an empire, married a society darling, divorced a decade ago, and amassed wealth beyond dreams. But the void Elena left gaped wider than ever. That evening, Victor slipped into a charity gala at the Met, his tuxedo a shield against the world's scrutiny. The event buzzed with power brokers, but his focus locked on Sofia Marquez, the keynote speaker. She stood at the podium, her voice clear and commanding, detailing her AI platform, Vital Sync, which saved lives in underserved communities. Her poise mirrored Elena's, grace under fire, a quiet strength that drew every eye. Victor lingered in the shadows, his pulse racing. She was his daughter, yet a stranger, her brilliance a testament to the woman he'd abandoned. Then their eyes met. Sofia's gaze, mid-sentence, flickered toward him, sharpening as if sensing a fracture in her world. Victor's breath caught. Did she know? Her pause was fleeting, her speech resuming seamlessly, but the moment burned. She whispered something to Javier, who stood nearby, his own gaze scanning the crowd. Victor retreated, slipping through a side exit, the cool night air doing little to calm his racing heart. In the car, his phone pinged. Marcus, with a preliminary report. Victor opened it, his blood running cold. Sofia and Javier are your biological children, the message read. Elena listed you on their birth certificates, though she never filed them. And, sir, they've been investigating you for years. Victor's grip tightened, the phone's glow illuminating his ashen face. Years. They'd known about him, tracked him, while he'd lived in blissful ignorance. What did they want? Revenge? Justice? Or something darker? The city blurred past his window, its lights a kaleidoscope of his fractured thoughts. Elena's voice echoed again, not from that night, but from a dream he'd never shaken. You'll face them one day, Victor, and you'll see what you lost. As he stared at Sofia's image on his phone, her eyes his own, Victor knew that day had come. But what price would he pay when the truth unraveled? And what secrets had the twins unearthed that even he couldn't bury? Victor Langston's phone trembled in his grip. Marcus's words. They've been investigating you for years. A noose tightening around his heart. The city's pulse throbbed outside his car, but inside silence suffocated him. Sofia and Javier Marquez, his children, had hunted him in the shadows while he'd built an empire on the ashes of their mother's dreams. What did they know? The question gnawed as he retreated to his penthouse, the skyline's glow mocking his unraveling control. Alone, Victor poured a whiskey, the amber liquid catching the light like Elena's eyes once had. Her photograph, still clutched from earlier, stared back, her smile a quiet accusation. He sank into a leather chair, memories clawing free. Elena's laughter at a street fair, her paint-stained fingers brushing his, the way she challenged his world of boardrooms with her art and fire. He'd loved her, hadn't he? But love had bowed to ambition, to his family's iron expectations. The whiskey burned his throat, failing to drown the truth. He'd chosen power over her, over their unborn twins. Now those twins were no longer ghosts, but titans, their faces on billboards, their brilliance a mirror of Elena's spirit. Victor's chest tightened. Had she told them everything? His cowardice? His betrayal? A knock shattered his spiral. Marcus Reed stood at the door, his weathered face grim under the penthouse's stark lights. You wanted answers, he said, sliding a dossier across the glass table. Here's what I've got. Victor's fingers hesitated, then tore it open. Photos spilled out, Sofia accepting a medical award, Javier pitching to tech moguls, their confident smiles piercingly familiar. The report confirmed the unbearable. Sofia and Javier were his, Elena's unfiled birth certificates naming him as father. But the final page stopped his breath. They've been digging into you, Marcus said, voice low. Bank records, old deals, even your family's trusts. They're not just curious, Victor. They're relentless. Relentless, Victor echoed, his mind racing. Like Elena, who'd face the world alone rather than take his tainted money. He dismissed Marcus, needing solitude to process. The dossier revealed more. Sofia, a neurosurgeon, saved lives with precision. Javier, a tech innovator, built VitalSync, an AI platform revolutionizing healthcare. Their success was Elena's triumph, not his. Yet their investigations suggested intent, revenge perhaps, or justice. Victor's gaze fell to Elena's photo, her eyes seeming to whisper, "You can't run forever." He drained the whiskey, resolve hardening. He'd face this, whatever it cost. Across the city in a sleek Brooklyn office lined with awards, Sofia and Javier Marquez sat bathed in the glow of laptop screens. The air hummed with purpose, their shared mission a silent vow. Years ago, after Elena's death, they'd found a locked box in her apartment, a time capsule of pain. Inside were Victor's letters, curtain transactional, offering money for silence. An uncashed check, its ink faded, and Elena's journal, its pages a tapestry of love and loss. Sofia traced a passage, her voice soft. Find him, not for revenge, but to understand why he chose ambition over love. Javier's jaw clenched, his fingers crumpling the check. He doesn't deserve answers, he said. He deserves to pay. Sofia, ever the pragmatist, tempered his fire. We need closure, Javier. Not just for us, but for Mom. Their dynamic crackled, her logic against his passion, yet both fueled by Elena's memory. The journal painted a woman unbroken, raising biracial twins in a world that often judged them. Elena's art had paid their bills, her stories shaped their dreams. But her final entry, written in a trembling hand, had set them on this path. My children are my victory. If you find him, know he was once a man who could love. Sofia closed the journal, her eyes meeting Javier's. We're going to Chicago, she said. His summit's our chance. Javier nodded, his anger a coiled spring. They'd engineered invitations to Victor's real estate summit, a stage to confront the man who'd abandoned them. But their research had uncovered more than betrayal. Victor's empire rested on a shady land deal, one that raised Elena's childhood neighborhood for luxury condos. He didn't just leave us, Javier said, voice low. He destroyed Mom's roots. Sofia's fingers paused on her keyboard, unease flickering. Their plan, confrontation, exposure, felt righteous, but the stakes were rising. Then a ping broke the silence. An encrypted email from an ally flashed on Sofia's screen, its subject line chilling. Victor Langston's secrets. Attached were files, bank transfers, city council memos, proving Victor bribed officials to clear that land deal. Sofia's breath caught. This is dynamite, she said, scrolling through evidence that could topple an empire. Javier leaned closer, eyes blazing. He's done worse than we thought. But Sofia's brow furrowed. Who's sending this? And why now, right before we face him? The question hung unanswered, a shadow creeping into their resolve. The files were too precise, the timing too perfect. Was this ally a savior or a puppeteer? Sofia's fingers hovered over the keyboard, her mind racing. Javier stood, pacing, his voice fierce. It doesn't matter. We use this to bury him. But Sofia's gaze lingered on Elena's journal, its wisdom urging caution. Whoever this ally was, they knew too much. About Victor, about them. As the city hummed beyond their windows, a new fear took root. Were they hunters, or were they prey? And what truth awaited in Chicago that could shatter them all? The encrypted email from an ally burned in Sofia Marquez's mind, its damning files a ticking bomb. Were she and Javier hunters or prey? In their Chicago hotel room, the hum of the city below barely pierced the tension as Sofia's fingers flew across her laptop, dissecting the evidence against Victor Langston. Bank transfers, forged permits, backroom deals, all pointed to their father's ruthless ambition, raising their mother Elena's neighborhood for profit. Javier paced, his anger a caged beast. He didn't just abandon us, he growled, slamming a fist on the table. He tore Mom's world apart, and now we've got the proof to ruin him. Sofia's eyes flicked to him, her pragmatism a counterweight to his fire. Proof isn't enough, Javier. We need to know who's feeding us this and why. The files were too clean, delivered precisely as they prepared to confront Victor at his real estate summit. She scrolled through grainy photos of Elena's old street, vibrant homes reduced to rubble, families displaced. Her chest ached, imagining her mother's pain. This is why she never spoke of him, Sofia murmured. She was shielding us from his destruction. Javier's jaw tightened. Shielding's over. He faces us now. Their resolve hardened, forged in Elena's memory. A flashback flickered in Sofia's mind. Elena, years ago, teaching them to paint under a Brooklyn sky, her voice steady. Your strength comes from love, not anger, she'd said, her hands guiding theirs across the canvas. That love fueled them now, but anger sharpened their edge. They'd secured summit invitations, a chance to stare into the eyes of the man who'd discarded them. Javier pulled up their plan on his tablet, confront Victor privately, demand answers, and, if needed, expose his crimes. "Chicago's our battlefield," he said, voice low. "He won't escape." Across the country, Victor Langston sat in his private jet, the storm outside mirroring the chaos within. Lightning flashed, illuminating Elena's photograph in his hand, her smile a silent rebuke. Marcus Reed's latest report lay open. Sofia and Javier knew about the land deal, had requested a meeting before the summit. "They're coming for me," Victor thought, his pulse a drumbeat. He'd spent years bearing that deal. Bribes to city officials, silence protests, convincing himself it was business, not betrayal. But seeing his children's faces, their brilliance a rebuke to his cowardice, cracked his defenses. "They're not just your kids," Marcus had warned, his voice crackling through a call. "They're brilliant, relentless. Whatever they've got, it's big." Victor's fingers tightened on the photo. Relentless, like Elena, who'd faced the world alone rather than bow to his money. He'd told himself he'd spared her, spared their twins, by staying away. But the truth was uglier. He'd feared his family's scorn, the board's whispers, the stain of an interracial love in their gilded world. Now that fear felt trivial against the reality of Sofia and Javier. His blood, his reckoning. The jet shuddered, turbulence mirroring his thoughts. What did they want? To destroy him? To claim his empire? Or simply to hear him admit he'd failed them? Victor's mind churned, replaying Elena's last words. "My child deserves a father, not a ghost." He'd been a ghost, haunting his own life, and now his children were summoning him to face the flesh and blood consequences. He tucked the photo away, resolve forming. He'd meet them, hear their accusations, and, God help him, try to make amends. Back in Chicago, Sofia and Javier sifted through the An Ally files, their hotel room a war room of scattered papers and glowing screens. A particular memo caught Sofia's eye. Victor's signature on a deal that displaced hundreds, including Elena's family. "He profited while Mom rebuilt from nothing," Javier said, voice thick with disgust. Sofia nodded, but her unease grew. The allies' timing was surgical, as if orchestrating their rage. She opened Elena's journal, seeking clarity, and read aloud. "Victor was once a man who dreamed. Ambition stole him, but I hope my children find the truth, not just the pain." The words grounded them, a reminder of Elena's wish, not vengeance, but understanding. Yet Javier's eyes burned. "Truth won't change what he did. We confront him, Sofia. No mercy." She agreed, but her fingers lingered on the journal, Elena's wisdom a tether. They'd face Victor, demand answers for his betrayal, his destruction. But the allies' shadow loomed, a puzzle unsolved. Who stood to gain by arming them now? As they finalized their summit strategy, another ping broke the silence. A new email from an ally flashed on Sofia's screen, its subject line a cold blade. "Ask him about the firm." Attached was a single document, a contract between Victor and a shadowy private firm, dated shortly after Elena's departure. Sofia's breath hitched. "What's this?" she whispered, scanning cryptic terms. Surveillance, intimidation. Javier leaned in, his voice a hiss. He didn't just abandon Mom, he went after her. The revelation ignited Javier's fury, but Sofia's mind raced. The firm, what had Victor done? The contract hinted at something darker, a sin beyond abandonment. "This could be a trap," she cautioned, her lawyer's instincts kicking in. "Someone's steering us, Javier." He shook his head, eyes blazing. "Trap or not, it's the key to breaking him." The journal lay open beside them, Elena's words a faint echo against their rising storm. Outside, Chicago's skyline glittered, indifferent to the battle brewing. As Sofia stared at the email, a new fear took root. What truth lay buried in Victor's past that even their ally feared to name? And when they faced him, would it destroy them all? The cryptic contract from an ally, its words dripping with menace, hung like a storm cloud over Sofia and Javier Marquez. Had Victor Langston not only abandoned their mother Elena, but also hunted her? In their Chicago hotel room, the dossier on Victor's land deal lay scattered, its photos of shattered homes a silent scream. Javier's eyes burned. the contract's hint of intimidation fueling his rage. "He went after Mom," he said, voice ablade. "This ends in Chicago." Sofia, her heart racing, gripped Elena's journal, its wisdom a fragile anchor. "We confront him," she agreed, "but this ally's playing us. We need to be smarter." Their summit plans sharpened. Meet Victor privately, wield the dossier, and demand truth about the firm. Sofia's fingers traced a journal entry. "My children, seek the man, not the monster." Elena's faith clashed with the evidence piling against Victor, but it steadied Sofia's resolve. Javier, pacing, pulled up their invitations to Victor's real estate summit, his jaw set. "He'll look us in the eye and confess," and he said, "or we burn his empire down." Sofia nodded, but unease gnawed. The allies' precision suggested a larger game, one where they were pawns, not players. Across town, Victor stepped off his jet, Chicago's wind biting through his tailored coat. Elena's photograph, tucked in his pocket, felt heavier than ever. Marcus's warning, "They know about the land deal. They're relentless," echoed, each word a step toward judgment. He'd agreed to the twins' meeting, driven by a need to face the children he'd forsaken. In his hotel suite, he paced before a glass table, the city's skyline a glittering cage. The land deal, buried under bribes and lies, was a sin he'd rationalized as youth's ambition. But the firm? That shadow stirred a deeper dread, a truth he'd locked away. He poured a scotch, its burn steadying his nerves. The summit loomed, his empire's showcase, yet his children's presence threatened to unravel it. What did they know of the firm? He'd hired it to silence Elena's potential claims, a desperate act to protect his name. The consequences, her family's suffering, her father's collapse. He'd been buried under wealth and denial. Now Sofia and Javier's pursuit threatened to exhume it all. Victor's reflection in the glass wavered, a man caught between confession and self-preservation. He'd meet them, hear their pain, but could he face his own? In the hotel room, Sofia's laptop pinged, another email from an ally slicing through their strategy session. She opened it, heart pounding, to find a single line. "He'll deny the firm. Push harder." Javier leaned over, his breath sharp. "They're coaching us," he said, half admiring, half wary. "Whoever this is, they want Victor's head." Sofia's mind raced. The allies' knowledge was intimate, their timing surgical. She pulled up the dossier, cross-referencing names, but the trail was cold. "We use their intel," she said, "but we don't trust them, not until we know their endgame." Their confrontation loomed, hours away. Javier spread the dossier's photos across the table. Elena's neighborhood, now condos gleaming with Victor's name. "This is personal," he said, voice low. "He didn't just betray Mom. He erased her roots." Sofia's gaze fell to a photo of Elena, young and defiant, her smile a mirror of their own. "She rebuilt," Sofia said softly. "We'll honor that by getting answers." They rehearsed their approach, Sofia's calm probing, Javier's relentless pressure, the dossier their weapon. But the firm's shadow lingered, a question mark neither could ignore. Victor in his suite stared at the meeting request. Sofia and Javier Marquez, 3 p.m., his private lounge. His phone buzzed, a news alert shattering the silence. Langston Properties implicated in bribery scandal. The headline screamed, detailing the land deal's corruption, naming him as the architect. His scotch glass slipped, splashing amber across the table. "No," he whispered, scrolling frantically. The article hinted at sources close to the Marquez siblings, framing their summit presence as a calculated strike. "You did this?" he muttered, fury rising. But doubt crept in. Had they leaked it, or was another hand at play? Sofia's phone buzzed simultaneously, the same headline glaring. Her eyes widened. "This wasn't us," she said, voice tight. Javier grabbed his tablet, scanning the article. "It's too detailed, our evidence, word for word." The leak painted them as extortionists, threatening their credibility. "Someone's framing us," Javier growled. "Victor thinks we did this." Sofia's mind spun. The allies' files, now public, had turned their weapon against them. She opened her laptop, fingers trembling, and found a new email from an ally. "Cassandra Holt is your leak. She's been watching you both." A photo attached showed Cassandra, Victor's rival, whose features were eerily familiar. Cassandra Holt, Javier said, stunned. Mom's friend from the old neighborhood. Sofia zoomed in, Cassandra's sharp eyes sparking a memory, Elena's stories of a loyal friend. She's using us to destroy Victor, Sofia said, dread pooling. But why drag us down too? The email's final line chilled her. Holt's vendetta runs deeper than you know. The summit meeting loomed, now a battlefield not just with Victor, but with an unseen enemy. As they gathered the dossier, Sofia's gaze fell to Elena's journal, its pages whispering caution. Victor thought them predators. Cassandra played them as pawns. What truth awaited in that lounge, and whose trap would spring first? Cassandra Holt's name burned on Sofia Marquez's screen, her familiar eyes a jolt from Elena's past. The leaked scandal, Victor Langston's bribery exposed, had framed Sofia and Javier as extortionists, a betrayal orchestrated by their mother's old friend. In their Chicago hotel room, the dossier on Victor's sins lay overshadowed by this new threat. Cassandra was Mom's ally, Javier said, voice tight with disbelief. Why turn on us? Sofia's mind raced, piecing together fragments. Elena's stories of a fierce friend, Cassandra's rise as a real estate rival to Victor. She's not after us, Sofia realized, her voice low. We're just pawns to destroy him. Javier's fingers clenched, fury warring with confusion. Then why feed us the evidence? The land deal? The firm? Sofia opened the "an ally" email again. Its cryptic warning, Holt's vendetta runs deeper than you know. A riddle. She pulled up old articles, finding a photo of Cassandra and Elena, arms linked, laughing in their old neighborhood. The resemblance wasn't just nostalgia. It was intimate, personal. They were like sisters, Sofia murmured, dread pooling. This isn't just business, it's revenge. But for what? The summit meeting with Victor loomed, now a minefield with Cassandra pulling strings. Across town, Victor stood in his hotel suite, the news alert's sting still raw. The leaked bribery scandal threatened his empire, and he'd blamed Sofia and Javier, his children, for wielding the blade. But their shock, mirrored in that fleeting moment before the email, suggested another hand. Cassandra Holt. The name conjured a rival who'd lost a major deal to him years ago, her venom palpable in boardroom clashes. Yet her connection to Elena, hinted at in the twins' dossier, stirred unease. Had she known about the pregnancy? About his shame? He gripped Elena's photograph, its edges worn from years of secret glances. The meeting with Sofia and Javier was hours away, but the firm, the darkest stain on his conscience, loomed larger. He'd hired it to silence Elena, to keep her from exposing their affair. The firm's overreach, harassing her family until her father's heart gave out, was a horror he'd buried under payoffs and denial. If the twins knew, if Cassandra had armed them, his empire wasn't the only thing at risk. His soul was. Victor's resolve hardened. He'd face them, confess and pray for a mercy he didn't deserve. Back in the hotel room, Sofia's laptop hummed as she dug into Cassandra's past. A buried article revealed Cassandra's early career, her fight to save Elena's neighborhood from Victor's condos. She blamed him for everything, Sofia said, showing Javier the screen. The displacement, Mom's struggles. Javier's eyes narrowed. Then why frame us? We're Elena's kids. Sofia paused, a memory surfacing. Elena's voice, soft, mentioning a friend who loved too fiercely. Cassandra's not just angry, Sofia said. She's obsessed, and she's using us to finish Victor. The confrontation with Victor was inevitable, but Cassandra's shadow demanded action. Sofia proposed a radical plan. Ally with Victor to expose Cassandra before she destroyed them all. Javier recoiled. Trust him? After what he did to Mom's family? Sofia's gaze fell to Elena's journal, its wisdom a guide. Mom wanted us to understand, not destroy. If Cassandra's playing us, we need Victor's resources to fight back. Javier's silence was a grudging assent, but his eyes burned with distrust. They'd meet Victor, wield the dossier, and demand the truth about the firm, while watching for Cassandra's next move. In Victor's suite, the knock came too soon. Sofia and Javier entered, their resemblance to Elena a gut punch. Sofia's calm intensity mirrored her mother's. Javier's coiled anger was Victor's own. The glass table between them gleamed, a battlefield. "Mr. Langston," Sofia began, voice steady, "we're here about our mother, Elena Marquez." Victor opened his mouth to apologize, but Javier cut him off, sliding the dossier forward. "This isn't about apologies. It's about accountability. Your land deal ruined her community. What's this firm you hired?" Victor's blood ran cold. "They knew." His voice cracked. "I was young, under pressure. The deal was business. The firm," he faltered, shame choking him. "I wanted to protect my name. I didn't know they'd go so far." Sofia's eyes blazed, tears brimming. "So far? They killed our grandfather." Victor's head bowed, the weight of his sin crushing. "I'm sorry," he whispered, the words hollow against their pain. Javier's fist clenched. "Sorry doesn't bring him back." Before Sofia could press further, Victor's phone buzzed. A news alert, the scandal escalating. Sofia's phone pinged simultaneously, another email from an ally. Her breath caught as she opened it. A video file, grainy but devastating, showing the firm's men intimidating Elena's family, her father collapsing. A note read, "Holt will release this at the gala. End him now." Javier's face paled. "Cassandra's going to bury us all." Sofia met Victor's eyes, a flicker of shared panic. "She's framing us as your accomplices," she said. "We're all targets." Victor's mind reeled. Cassandra, Elena's friend, had weaponized his worst mistake. "Why us?" he asked, voice hoarse. Sofia's gaze hardened. "Because she loved Mom, and you broke her. But she's betraying us too." Javier stood resolute. "We work together, or we all fall." Victor nodded, a fragile alliance forming. "I'll give you everything. Servers, records. Stop her." Sofia's fingers tightened on the journal, Elena's voice echoing. "Seek the man, not the monster." As they planned, a new fear gripped them. Cassandra's vendetta hid a deeper truth, one that could shatter more than their names. What had she planned for the gala, and what secret tied her to Elena's heart? The grainy video of Elena's father collapsing under the firm's threats looped in Sofia Marquez's mind. Cassandra Holt's betrayal, a wound as raw as Victor Langston's sins. Their fragile alliance, forged in the heat of that hotel suite confrontation, teetered on the edge of necessity, not trust. As Sofia and Javier plotted with Victor to thwart Cassandra's gala ambush, the question gnawed, what tied her so fiercely to Elena? The answer, Sofia feared, could upend everything. In a high-tech conference room, Victor's corporate servers hummed, their glow casting shadows on the trio's determined faces. Time was their enemy, the summit gala mere hours away. Sofia's fingers danced across her laptop, Vital Sync's AI slicing through Cassandra's digital defenses. "Her server's a fortress," she said, eyes narrowed. "But I'm close." Javier, scanning financial records on his tablet, traced Cassandra's payments to media outlets, fueling the bribery scandal. "She's been planning this for years," he muttered, his voice thick with betrayal. Victor, offering access to his own servers, revealed Cassandra's past sabotage attempts. Rigged bids, leaked contracts. "She's ruthless," he said, his tone grudgingly respectful. "But this feels personal." Javier's gaze flicked up, sharp. "Save the flattery. You're no better." The air crackled with tension. Javier's distrust a live wire. Sofia, sensing the fracture, steered them back. "Focus. If Cassandra releases that video, we're all finished." Her AI pinged, unearthing encrypted emails from Cassandra to a hacker, detailing plans to frame Victor and the twins as conspirators. Victor's jaw clenched, the weight of his past pressing harder. He'd hired the firm to silence Elena, but the collateral damage, her father's death, haunted him. "I thought I was protecting my future," he said, voice low. "I was a coward." Sofia's eyes met his, a flicker of pity softening her resolve. "Words don't fix this. Actions might." Victor seized the chance to prove it. "I'll confess at the gala," he said, his voice steady despite the tremor in his hands. "The land deal, The firm. All of it. I'll take the fall before Cassandra can spin it. Javier scoffed. You think a speech erases what you did? But Sofia saw the shift in Victor. A man grasping for redemption. She nodded. It's a start. We'll handle Cassandra's servers. A memory of Elena surfaced, her mother painting under a Brooklyn sky, whispering, People can change, Sofia. Give them a chance to try. That faith guided her now, though Javier's glare warned of limits. In a Chicago rooftop bar, Cassandra Holt sipped a martini, her silhouette sharp against neon lights. Her contact, a wiry man with a burner phone, confirmed the video's upload to gala screens. It's set, he said. Langston and those twins won't see it coming. Cassandra's lips curved, but her eyes betrayed grief. Elena's death, her vibrant friend lost to a cruel disease, had ignited this vendetta. Victor's abandonment, his destruction of their neighborhood, had broken Elena's spirit, Cassandra believed. He took everything from her, she said, voice ablade. Now he loses it all. The contact hesitated. The twins too? Cassandra's gaze hardened. They chose him. They pay. Her words carried the weight of years. A love for Elena twisted into obsession. Cassandra had fought beside her, protested Victor's condos, and watched Elena raise Sofia and Javier alone. When Elena died, Cassandra's grief turned to fury. Her real estate empire a weapon honed against Victor. But the twins' alliance with him was a betrayal she hadn't foreseen. The gala would be her triumph, Victor's ruin televised, the twins' collateral damage. She drained her martini, unaware Sofia's AI was closing in, a digital noose tightening. Back in the conference room, Sofia's screen flashed, a breach in Cassandra's server. Got it, she said, pulling up files, emails, payments, and a letter that stopped her cold. Dated years ago, it was from Cassandra to Elena, confessing a secret. I'm your half-sister, Elena. Mom hid me to protect your reputation. Sofia's breath caught, Javier leaning in, stunned. Cassandra's our aunt? He whispered, the word alien. The letter detailed their mother's shame, a hidden child from another father, raised apart. Cassandra had loved Elena fiercely, her vendetta born of that bond. She's been playing us from the start, Javier said, fury rising, using Mom's memory to manipulate us. Sofia's mind reeled. Cassandra's love for Elena explained her rage, but not her willingness to destroy them. If this is true, Sofia said, what else is she hiding? The letter hinted at more. Cassandra's knowledge of Victor's firm, her own role in Elena's struggles. Victor, watching, paled. She knew about Elena and me, he said, voice hollow. She must have hated me from the beginning. The revelation reshaped their plan. Sofia would hack the gala's screens, replacing Cassandra's video with her emails, exposing her scheme. Victor's confession would preempt her narrative, while Javier tracked her financial trail for legal ammunition. But the sibling tie complicated everything. She's family, Sofia said, voice soft. But she's dangerous. Javier's eyes burned. Family doesn't betray like this. Elena's journal on the table seemed to pulse with her wisdom. Seek the man, not the monster. Could they spare Cassandra, or was justice their only path? As they finalized their strategy, Sofia's laptop pinged. A new email from an alley, anonymous again. It contained a single line. Ask Victor about the clinic. Javier's brow furrowed. Clinic? What's she talking about now? Sofia met Victor's eyes, seeing a flicker of fear. What clinic, Victor? She demanded. He looked away, his silence a confession of another buried sin. The gala loomed, Cassandra's trap set, but Victor's new secret threatened to fracture their alliance. What had he done, and how deep did Cassandra's knowledge run? Victor Langston's silence at the mention of the clinic hung like a guillotine, his shadowed eyes betraying a secret yet to be unearthed. Sofia and Javier Marquez, their alliance with him strained by this new mystery, steeled themselves for the summit gala, where Cassandra Holt's trap loomed. In the glittering Chicago ballroom, chandeliers cast a golden haze over elite guests, their murmurs a low hum beneath the trio's racing pulses. Backstage, Sofia's fingers hovered over her laptop, Vital Sync's AI poised to hack the gala's screens. Javier adjusted his tie, his gaze fierce. If this fails, he whispered, we're done. Victor, clutching Elena's photograph in his pocket, met their eyes. Then we go down fighting. The air crackled with stakes. Cassandra's plan to broadcast the firm's video, framing them all, versus their counterstrike to expose her. Sofia's hack targeted Cassandra's emails, proving her manipulation, while Victor's confession would steal her narrative. Javier's financial traces, ready for authorities, were their backup. But Cassandra's tie to Elena, her half-sister, complicated everything. Sofia's heart ached, torn between justice and family. She loved Mom, she said softly, but she's lost herself. Victor nodded, guilt etched in his face. Like I did. Let's end this. For Elena. Javier's jaw tightened, unconvinced, but he followed Sofia's lead. The chairperson's voice boomed, introducing Victor for his philanthropy award. He stepped onto the stage, the spotlight harsh, the gleaming trophy a mockery. Instead of accepting, he gripped the microphone, his voice steady but raw. I don't deserve this, he began, the crowd hushing. I built an empire on lies. I abandoned the woman I loved, Elena Marquez, and our unborn twins for ambition. I displaced communities, bribed officials, and hired a firm that destroyed lives. Gas rippled through the audience, cameras flashing. Victor's eyes found Sofia and Javier in the wings, their presence his anchor. I failed them, but I won't hide anymore. Sofia's fingers flew, breaching the gala's system. The screens behind Victor flickered, Cassandra's emails blooming in stark white. Orders to hackers, payments for leaks, her vendetta laid bare. The crowd stirred, whispers turning to outrage. Javier triggered the next file, Cassandra's letter to Elena, revealing their sibling bond. She's been using us, Javier said, his voice low, feeding Sofia the final command. The screens displayed it all, Cassandra's face in the crowd paling as security closed in. No! She screamed, lunging toward the stage. Victor took everything from Elena, her home, her family. Sofia and Javier stepped forward, joining Victor under the spotlight. We're Elena's children, Sofia declared, her voice cutting through the chaos. And we're here to hold him accountable, not to be pawns in your revenge. Cassandra's eyes blazed, tears streaking her face. You chose him, she spat, pointing at Victor. You betrayed her memory. Javier's voice was steel. You used us to settle your score. That's not love. The crowd watched, riveted, as security seized Cassandra, her defiance crumbling. Her half-sister's love for Elena, twisted into obsession, had led her to this fall. Victor faced the audience, his confession unrelenting. The firm I hired killed Elena's father. I covered it up, and I've lived with that shame every day. I stand here to face the consequences. The room fell silent, his vulnerability a stark contrast to the titan they knew. Sofia's eyes shimmered, Elena's journal echoing in her mind. Seek the man, not the monster. Javier, though rigid, felt a shift. Victor's honesty was a step their mother might have respected. The crowd's murmurs turned to applause, tentative but growing, a testament to truth's raw power. Cassandra, being led away, twisted free for a moment, her voice a desperate cry. Ask Victor about the clinic. The words landed like a grenade, the crowd buzzing anew. Sofia's head snapped toward Victor, whose face drained of color. Javier's hand gripped her arm, his voice a hiss. What clinic, Victor? What else? Victor's lips parted, but no words came, his silence a betrayal that fractured their fragile trust. Security dragged Cassandra out, her smirk lingering, a final barb planted. Backstage, Sofia rounded on Victor, her voice low but fierce. No more lies, what's the clinic? Victor's shoulders sagged, the weight of decades pressing down. Not here, he whispered. After the gala, I'll tell you everything. Javier's eyes burned. You're out of chances. Sofia's mind raced. Cassandra's warning, her intimate knowledge, suggested a truth tied to Elena's death. Had Victor's sins reached further than they knew? The applause faded, the crowd dispersing, but the trio remained, bound by a truth yet to surface. The gala's aftermath buzzed online. Victor's confession trending, Cassandra's arrest breaking news. But Sofia's laptop pinged, a final email from an ally, anonymous, untraceable. It contained a single file, a medical report, Elena's name at the top, linked to an experimental clinic. Sofia's breath caught, Javier leaning in, his voice tight. She was sick. What did he do? Victor, overhearing, looked away, his silence damning. The clinic, was it salvation or sabotage? As they faced each other, Chicago's skyline glittering beyond, a new question loomed. Had Victor's final secret cost Elena her life, and could they ever forgive him? The medical report bearing Elena Marquez's name glowed on Sofia's laptop, its clinical words a silent scream. Had Victor Langston's final secret stolen their mother's life? The gala's chaos, Cassandra Holt's arrest, Victor's public confession, faded into a dull roar as Sofia and Javier faced him in a quiet Chicago park. Dawn's light casting long shadows. Victor's silence at the clinic mention had fractured their alliance, his haunted eyes now pleading for a chance to explain. Javier's voice cut through the crisp air, sharp as a blade. No more lies, Victor. What did you do to her? Victor's shoulders sagged. The billionaire titan reduced to a man stripped bare. I thought I was saving her, he said, voice cracking. He sank onto a bench, the weight of decades spilling out. After Elena's diagnosis, a rare neurological disease, Victor, racked with guilt, had anonymously funded an experimental clinic to treat her. I couldn't face her, he admitted, but I thought I could fix it. The clinic's drugs, untested, had accelerated her decline, a failure he'd buried under shame. I didn't know, he whispered. I swear. Sofia's eyes blazed, tears brimming. You played God with Mom's life and didn't even tell her? Her fingers clutched Elena's journal, its pages a lifeline. Javier's fist clenched, his voice low. You killed her, just like her father. Victor flinched, the accusation a lash. I wanted to save her, he said, but I failed, again. The truth hung heavy, a betrayal not of malice but of cowardice. Sofia's mind churned. Elena's suffering, Cassandra's vendetta, all rooted in Victor's choices. Yet his anguish, raw and unfeigned, echoed Elena's belief. People can change. The gala's fallout dominated headlines. Victor's confession lauded as brave, Cassandra's schemes condemned. But lawsuits loomed, threatening Victor's empire, and the twins' role raised questions. Sofia's gaze softened, Elena's wisdom guiding her. Mom wanted us to understand you, she said, not destroy you. Javier's glare faltered, his anger warring with grief. He doesn't get to walk away, he said, but his voice lacked its earlier venom. Sofia proposed a path forward. Victor must fund a foundation in Elena's name, rebuilding communities he'd raised, and step down as CEO. It's justice, she said, and a chance to honor her. Victor nodded, his eyes wet. I'll do it. Everything you ask. He pulled a letter from his coat, Elena's handwriting faint but clear, written before her death. I found this in her things years ago, he said, voice trembling. She forgave me but asked me to make it right. Sofia took it, her breath catching as she read. Victor, my children are my light. If they find you, show them the man you could be. Javier's eyes shimmered, the words piercing his defenses. She believed in you, he said, voice thick. Why didn't you fight for her? The question lingered, unanswered, as they stood in the park's quiet embrace. Victor's empire, once his shield, felt hollow against Elena's faith. I was terrified, he admitted, of my family, of the world's judgment. I lost more by letting her go. Sofia's sketchbook, tucked in her bag, held a drawing of Elena, vibrant, unbroken. She showed it to Victor, a silent offering. This is who she was, she said. This is what you help us rebuild. Javier's nod was reluctant, but real, a crack in his armor. Their plan took shape. The Elena Marquez Foundation would restore displaced neighborhoods, fund education, and heal wounds Victor had inflicted. But Javier insisted on accountability. You face the lawsuits, he said. No hiding. Victor agreed, a weightlifting with each commitment. The twins' strength, Elena's legacy, shone through them, a mirror of the woman he'd loved and lost. Yet Cassandra's shadow lingered, Her arrest hadn't ended her reach. Had she known about the clinic, used it to fuel her rage? Sofia's unease grew. The unally emails were a puzzle unsolved. As they parted, Victor handed them Elena's journal, its full contents unshared until now. Sofia opened it, finding a new entry, written in Elena's final days. I named Sofia and Javier for Victor's parents, hoping one day he'd see the family we could have been. The revelation struck like lightning, a secret act of love despite Victor's betrayal. Javier's voice broke. She never stopped hoping. Sofia met Victor's eyes, seeing not a monster, but a man broken by his choices. You don't deserve this, she said. But Mom did. We do this for her. Victor's throat tightened, tears falling freely. I'll spend my life earning it, he said. The park's dawn light warmed them, a fragile promise of healing. But Sofia's phone buzzed, a final email from an ally. No sender, just a line. The clinic wasn't the end. Check Cassandra's safe. Javier's brow furrowed. She's in custody. What's left? Sofia's pulse quickened, the message a whisper of unfinished truce. Had Cassandra hidden more, a final blow to Victor, or a secret about Elena's last days? As they walked away, Chicago's skyline loomed, its steel heart indifferent to the reckoning ahead. What lay in that safe, and would it bind them closer or tear them apart? The cryptic email, check Cassandra's safe, lingered like a ghost, its promise of hidden truths a final test for Sofia and Javier Marquez. Victor Langston's clinic confession, exposing his failed attempt to save their mother, Elena, had left them raw, yet Elena's journal, naming them after his parents, offered a fragile bridge. In a vibrant Chicago community center, reborn from the ashes of Elena's old neighborhood, the Elena Marquez Foundation launched under a bright afternoon sky. Banners fluttered, children laughed, and Elena's portrait hung above the stage, her smile a beacon. Sofia gripped the podium, her voice steady. This is for Mom, who taught us to build, not destroy. Javier stood beside her, his usual fire softened by pride. And for everyone who deserves a second chance, he added, his gaze flickering to Victor, who lingered at the crowd's edge. No longer a titan but a consultant, his suit humble. The foundation, funded by Victor's wealth, would restore displaced communities, offer scholarships, and heal wounds he'd once inflicted. Applause rose, a tide of hope, but Sofia's mind drifted to Cassandra's safe. Had their half-aunt, now in custody, left a final barb? The email's anonymity, an ally missive, suggested a truth beyond their grasp, perhaps tied to Elena's final days. Victor watched his children, their strength a mirror of Elena's. He'd stepped down as CEO, facing lawsuits with a quiet resolve. The foundation was his penance, but their cautious trust was his salvation. A memory surfaced. Elena sketching under a Brooklyn sky, her laughter a melody he'd silenced. Now her legacy thrived through Sofia and Javier, who'd expanded Vital Sync, their AI platform, saving lives globally. Victor approached them post-speech, his voice low. I'll never be your father, he said, but I'll try to be someone you can trust. Sofia's eyes softened, echoing Elena's belief in redemption. Mom would have liked that. Javier's nod was tentative, his anger not gone but tempered. They'd visited Elena's grave together, Victor leaving her sketch, a family under a vibrant sky, as a silent vow. The journal's revelation, naming them for his parents, had shifted something in Javier. She never stopped hoping, he'd said, voice thick. Now at the foundation's launch, he handed Victor a photo of Elena, young and radiant. Keep this, he said, not as a ghost but a reminder. Victor's throat tightened, the weight of her smile a call to be better. Sofia, meanwhile, pursued the safe's mystery. With Cassandra detained, they'd accessed her office through legal channels, finding a locked safe hidden behind a painting. Inside was a letter, not from Cassandra, but from Elena, written in her final days. Sofia's hands trembled as she read aloud. Cassandra, my sister, let go of your anger. Victor broke my heart, but my children are my joy. Protect them, not your pain. Tears fell. Elena had known Cassandra's bond, had pleaded for peace. A medical file accompanied the letter, detailing the clinic's failure. but absolving Victor of malice. She knew, Sofia whispered. She forgave you. Javier's eyes shimmered, the letter a balm to his wounds. She wanted us to heal, he said, glancing at Victor. The file confirmed the clinic's drugs were experimental, their failure a tragedy, not a crime. Cassandra's rage had twisted her love for Elena, using the clinic to fuel her vendetta. The in-ally emails, Sofia realized, were likely Cassandra's own, a desperate bid to control the narrative even from custody. She couldn't let go, Sofia said, her voice heavy. But we can. The letter was Elena's final gift, a call to choose love over vengeance. Later, at a small dinner in Sofia's Chicago apartment, the trio sat around a table, a tentative tradition forming. Javier shared a story of Elena's art classes, his laughter easing the room's edges. Sofia corrected his exaggerations, her sketchbook opened to a new drawing, a family not perfect, but present. Victor listened, his presence quiet but earnest. Family's a choice, Sofia said, raising a glass. To Mom, who knew its power. Javier joined, his voice softer. To choices? Victor's glass rose last, his eyes meeting theirs. To Elena. As they toasted, Sofia's mind lingered on the safe's contents. The anonymous emails had stopped, Cassandra's influence severed, but their origin nagged, a loose thread in their victory. Had someone else known Elena's secrets, or was Cassandra's reach deeper than they'd imagined? The question faded against the warmth of the moment, Elena's portrait on the wall watching over them. Victor, alone later, wrote a letter to Sofia and Javier, vowing to honor Elena daily. He sealed it, placing it beside her journal, its pages a map of redemption. Outside, Chicago's skyline glowed, its lights a canvas of possibility. The foundation thrived, vital sinks soared, and the trio's bond, though fragile, grew through shared choices. Victor, no longer defined by his empire, found peace in accountability. Sofia sketched a final image. Elena's vibrant sky, now theirs. Javier, his anger easing, saw his mother in every step forward. As the city hummed, Elena's legacy bound them, a new dawn born from her unbreakable love. What secrets had they buried, and what future would they choose? The skyline held no answers, only promises. From a heart-wrenching betrayal to a dawn of redemption, Victor, Sofia, and Javier's journey through Elena's legacy has woven a tapestry of love, loss, and choices. Did Victor earn forgiveness, or is justice still unpaid? Share your thoughts below. Where are you watching from, and what moved you most? Thank you for staying with us. Every heartbeat of this story was fueled by your presence. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that bell for more tales that grip the soul. Let's keep the conversation alive. What's your prediction for their future? Until next time, keep choosing love.